There is a creature alive today who has survived millions of years of evolution without change, without passion, and without logic. It lives to kill. A mindless, eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
Well, when I first hear the word jaws, I just think of a period in my life when I was much younger than I am right now. And I think because I was younger, I was more courageous, or I was more stupid. I'm not sure which. So when I think of Jaws, I think about courage and stupidity. And I think of both of those things existing underwater.
This is Universal's extraordinary motion picture version of Peter Benchley's best-selling novel, Jaws.
I had been thinking for years about a story about a shark that attacks people and what would happen if it came in and wouldn't go away, and I hadn't done anything with it really. And then in 1964, I read a story about a shark fisherman off Long Island who caught a 4,550-pound great white shark off the beaches of Long Island. And I thought, wow, what would happen if one of these things came in and wouldn't go away? And again, I didn't do anything about it until 1970 or 71, when a publisher finally said, that's an interesting story. I'll pay you a couple of dollars if you'll put it on paper. So that's how the idea began.
That's a 20-footer. 25. 3 tons on them.
Well, Stephen knew even before I was on the picture, obviously, that in order for the picture to work, you had to have a credible villain. And that meant a shark. And there was a few brief moments when somebody thought they could train a shark in time for the movie. And then it turns out that sharks have no brain to speak of. They're a remarkable collection of reflexes, but no brain that's trainable. So that idea was dropped. And then Joe Alves, a production designer, designed a terrific-looking great white shark. And that was the shark that was built out of latex and steel and rubber.
Everyone was telling me it can't be done, it would take 3 years in development. And I heard about this guy who did the giant squid in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And his name was Bob Matty. And so when I met Bob, I didn't get the usual pessimistic attitude that you can't do this, you can't make this full, size shark and you shoot in the real ocean. Instead, I got this very enthusiastic, yes, we could do anything.
That's a much maligned shark, and I'm kind of responsible for creating a lot of the bad mouthing about the shark, because the shark was frustrating. It didn't really work all the time. It didn't work hardly at all.
I remember in particular being on our barge watching the first shark test, at which time the shark simply sank to the bottom of Nantucket Sound, and we felt that our careers in motion pictures had gone with it. Frogmen were delegated to recover it and to bring it back to the surface. Everything that could go wrong with a shark went wrong with the various sharks, the various types, head, fin, tails.
The ocean was so brutal on the mechanics. All the pneumatic tubes, all of that special equipment was being dashed and brutalized by the ocean every day.
There were all these radio mics all over the island. The Universal radio mics. So wherever you were on the island, you could hear the radio mics. And they were always saying, the shark is not working. The shark is not working. Repeat, the shark is not working. no matter where you were, and for months.
We just waited around. We just waited and waited and waited.
This whole system with the barrels, that kept the shark alive. I mean, when those barrels came up, the shark was there. And that really saved us. It saved us, or we'd still be there waiting for the shark to work, really.
And then one day, you heard this. The shark is working. Repeat, the shark is working.
You're going to need a bigger boat.
The shark worked well enough that we, for a while there, had the biggest hit of all time. So I really owe the shark a lot.
Smile, you son of a bitch!
I saw the film in its final version when it played at the Rivoli Theater in Manhattan, which was a huge theater with a great big screen. And members of my family and guests were invited. And watching the audience react to it was wonderfully exciting. I mean, they just laughed and they screamed, and they did everything that we hoped they would do.
There was applause at the end of the movie. The movie ends, we're swimming away, it says the end, and they went crackers. Everyone went berserk. However many people are in that theater, and I couldn't even tell you. Pretty big theater. They went nuts. And then they sat, and they watched all of the credits. Every last one of them. And nobody moved. And then they applauded again. And I've never seen that.
And I remember walking out on the sidewalk at the end of it, and I looked at Dreyfuss, and he looked at me, and he ran over, and he jumped up in my arms, and he said, "We're sensational. We're great. We're terrific." And I said, yeah.
At the end of that evening, I walked out and I ran into Dreyfuss in the street, and we went to a bar, and all Rick could say was, "He did it, he did it, he did it." And I said, "Who did it? What are you talking about?" He said, "Spielberg did it, he did it."
It was a hell of a moment. I felt so proud that I was in that movie, and so proud for Spielberg.
I was really extraordinarily happy. The numbers were the highest numbers in Universal's history, and the executives were all happy. We were all happy. The audience loved the picture.
Jaws went on to become the biggest picture of all times at that time, surpassing the $100 million mark, which had never been done before.
It was one of those times, not very often in life, fairly often for Steven Spielberg, when the world was everything was wonderful. We were heroes. We brought it off. The audience just loved it. There was no end to our glory, and our lives were about to be changed.
Jaws was a fun movie to watch, but not a fun movie to make. It was an amazing experience for me, under the worst of conditions, and sometimes very sweet conditions, but most of the time under the worst conditions.
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws. Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, Richard Dreyfuss, Jaws. See it before you go swimming.